that kind of
That's fucking
stuff is just.
I mean, a few bucks. I mean, worried about someone had an extra glass of wine or a different entree, but when you get something like that, it's like basically there's probably $100 worth of liquor. No one really drinking.
Right.
So it's like probably a $900 tab for 7 people, which is expensive, but you ask the owner to give you whatever, so it's maybe $30 a head for dinner.
Yeah.
So that should have been $50, which was expensive anyway.
Yeah.
It was $180 or that was like $60 more.
Just on it. Yeah.
Because you were paying for the two ladies.
That's just wrong.
Lost a lot of respect for those guys, even though I like them. So
Yeah. Well, that's just classless.
Yeah, I agree with you. What was it? What was that?
Yeah, I haven't even looked at it.
54.
It's beautiful out there right now.
78.
So we're rolling anything.
We are doing a standing start.
Would you repeat, please? Sorry, we're off cans.
We just let you know that we are doing a standing start.
Cool. Then what time will the show come out on the screen? Standing start.
Okay. Yeah, good to have that beat into my head.
Hey, Greg,
What was that?
Just to clarify, we will start the show in 8 minutes.
Okay, so we do the tees, which is already done, right? So you're counting me to the hi everybody vote. Gotcha. Yep, perfect. That's a lot less haze in the air today. That's nice.
Yeah.
The shot you got right now, if you put that one up for the Open, I could do a nice reference on the Stansbury Mountains and Desiree Peak. And yeah. Yeah, those are different mountains, though, is what I'm saying. I just, just make sure I know which ones are. But yeah, well, and I don't have to get too specific. Yeah, I mean, that's just the color is so gorgeous. It's a nice way to set the stage for the day. All right, sounds good. An absolutely glorious day looking at the Stansbury Mountains to the west of Utah Motorsports Campus in Desiree Peak. On the other side, the Ochre Mountains, and in the middle, a 3-mile ribbon of challenging racetrack. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Pirelli World Challenge Grand Prix of Utah. I'm Greg Creamer, joined by Calvin Fish. Gino Carini covering all the action for us down in pit lane today. The Pirelli World Challenge Championships return to the mountain rim beauty of the Great Salt Desert. It's high speed, high elevation, high temperature excitement at the Grand Prix of Utah, and it starts now. Welcome, everybody, to Utah Motorsports Campus. It is time for the Pirelli World Challenge Grand Prix of Utah. Today, it is time for round 10 of the Pirelli World Challenge Touring Car Championships. We are so excited to be here and have you with us. An absolutely glorious mountain morning in the Great Salt Desert. That's the Stansbury Range with Desiree Peak, the sunlight glinting off of the Black Rock hairpin. An absolutely beautiful location. I'm Greg Creamer, joined by Calvin Fish, Gino Carini covering the action in the pit lane today. It's a long one he's going to be covering down there, Cal. And this is a track, we've already seen it this weekend, some serious, unique excitement always seems to unfold here.
It really does. It's an excellent racetrack. It really provides great racing opportunities, some good overtaking spots on this racetrack. And I tell you what, the drivers this morning are catching a bit of a break. I think this is the coolest it's been
exactly.
all weekend long.
Yeah, it is, and we've actually had some of the haze has disappeared just a little bit, so I think they're really looking forward to getting this race underway, and we sure are. There's no question about that, and as you take a look here, this is that long straightaway, 3/4 of a mile in length, but the backside of the track, and we get into the twisty bits, this place has such flow and rhythm, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch this run unfold.
It really will be, and lessons are learned overnight. It's great with the double header. You have a chance to tweak on the race car, make some adjustments, maybe a different psyche, different approach to how aggressive you are. They'll have learned a lot yesterday with a very long green flag run, 40 minutes. The tires really taking a beating.
Well, speaking of yesterday, let's go and take a look at some of the highlights from that race. And it all started with Johann Schwartz, a huge lap for pole, Cal, but the first start got waved off. They said he jumped it a little bit.
Yeah, big compression in the middle of the pack. We got away with one there. On the restart, look at this. Vesco Kozrov, the championship leader, he tries to thread the needle.
And he did, and it was huge because that 91 is Carl Whitmer, the guy that's closest to him in the points. Schwartz was able to slide through. However, he would get a drive-through penalty for that jump start. And that, of course, as you watch him now completing the drive-through, that put Vesco Kozrov in the lead.
Yeah, big dent in Schwartz's championship hope, so he had to try and recover. He had a brilliant drive, but look at this. Richard Zillman on debut. He's having a fun race. Gets a little bit squirrely there out of Black Rock. Manages to get it together.
He did. And Carl Whitmer never gave up, hounded Vesco Kozrov through the entire race in his classic BMW. However, it was the Reardon Nissan of Vesco Kozrov bringing it home for a 5th win on the season. You can see how close Whitmer was. Not quite enough, but Cal, there's nothing really sweeter than spraying champagne onto your home track.
Absolutely, and when you increase that championship lead and you got pole for today, that is a very nice evening.
Absolutely, and his run in that race produced the fastest lap of the race as well, so he gets another pole position. That's going to be his 5th of the season, and that's another point.
Every point is important at this stage of the game. You look at the front of the grid. Some of these contenders have to make hay today. They've got to cut into that lead.
As you take a look at this field, there you see Johann Schwartz still had a very strong lap in the race. He has been fast this weekend. And give a little bit of a look at this track for our race analysis. 3 miles, 15 counted corners using the outer loop. And yes, you've got that long straight. However, like I said, you get into the backside of this track. There's a great rhythm and flow. As you said, some fabulous passing areas.
There really are. Down into turn 1, you got that long straightaway. You can pick up a draft there. Then into the Black Rock hairpin. I love that corner. Very low speed corner. Great overtaking opportunities. Some brilliant corners like the Attitudes, Tuella, Clubhouse. It really keeps coming at you.
It does, and those Attitudes are a lot of fun. You'd think at this desert track, not a lot of elevation change, and in that one, it is a little bit of a roller coaster. Here's a look at some of these fabulous corners here. That's the approach to the Attitudes, that little climb up. In the next shot, you're going to see how far down you fall down this hill. It doesn't show it a lot on TV, but that's a serious drop. And then into Tuilla Corner, into Clubhouse, and then wind up and release, which are a couple of great corners to let it go.
Yeah, it really is. It just keeps coming at you, and I love the last couple of corners. They're so important, that front straightaway. But the key today is, Greg, a lot of the drivers yesterday couldn't afford to pick up the draft. They were worried about overheating those engines. Much cooler conditions today. I think that will allow guys to draft a bit more and maybe have a shot down into turn 1.
And, of course, the big difference today, a standing start as well. So everybody will come around on a formation lap, but when they get staged to go, very different approach now into turn one.
It really is. And I think for Vesko Kozarov, yes, he wants to sweep the weekend at his home track, but he's got to be thinking big picture. If someone gets aggressive with him, and some of these guys have to go, as we said earlier, you've got to get the big points. You've got to cut into that lead before we go to Watkins Glen for the final weekend of the year.
Yeah, and he's really got himself in a strong position. But as we said, 3 races yet to go. That's a ton of points, 75 plus bonus points. So it's by no means settled, but he certainly is putting a stamp on it.
He really is, and I think for a lot of these drivers, getting that 50% mark where you will score points is probably the first goal, first target in this race. Then you can afford to be a little bit more aggressive.
And as you can see, the field is making its way out on the installation lap. And there is that front row moving away. There's Carl Whitmer, who had a good qualifying effort in third. His teammate Matt Travis, who's been very racy, starting fourth. And we're going to get ready for it, but we're going to talk Pirelli storylines right now. And first, we've kind of been talking about it already, Cal. Reardon rolling right now.
They really are, and you expected them to be quick here yesterday, and they certainly got through for the win, but it didn't look that good after qualifying, so they tweaked on the car, and Vesko, he's a cool cat. He really did a great job. Got that fast lap, got the bonus point. He starts from pole today. He should be able to control it, but I think everyone behind him is going to be pushing very, very hard.
And another one has got to be Schwartz came in here swinging. I mean, he set a pole time that was 0.6 faster than anybody else and obliterated the old track record.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there on the second start. I get the first one. It's like, okay, we're worried about a long green flag run. I think he felt by jumping the start, if it gets waved off, that puts less minutes on the board to get to the checkered flag, but it backfired on him because they didn't like the second start either.
And as we watch this installation lap unfold, let's sneak down to the pits and check in with a third member of our team, Gino Carini. Gino, what have you been hearing since yesterday's race?
I think they're looking at every little tweak. They're looking at realigning the cars. They're looking at aero. They're trying to just get this thing running and running properly. I have no issues with, the way that things have been run. That's what people are telling me. We just want to be competitive.
All right, obviously a little technical glitch right there. So thanks, Gino. And as this field continues here, we're going to take a quick pause. Obviously, we will be back because next up will be the standing start for touring cars in Pirelli World Challenge. Very quickly, those of you joining us on our web stream or on SiriusXM, as always, for this second day of racing, we'll be building our CBS Sports Network show. So there's going to be times where we'll be pausing and taking breaks and having discussions with producers. But whenever we can, we'll jump back with you here on the web and on SiriusXM. Thank you so much for joining us.
Told nothing is changing. The teams, the BMW teams, the Nissan teams are all just looking to fine line, define their aerodynamics. And
welcome back, everybody. The field coming around to get set and line up for the standing start. And there's Vesko Kozarov in that white and blue Reardon Racing Nismo Nissan. And he'd love nothing more than to get the sweep at home. He's done it before here. Ooh, and Johan trying to get a little heat there, kind of charged up on the back and almost ran off track. Everybody's antsy here, and I think Johan, knowing the pace he's got, Cal, and what happened yesterday, and he had a great fight back through the field. He wants to get going here. He wants to show what he can do.
Yeah, the yin and the yang was a little bit off there. Vesko was on the brakes as Johan was on the power there as they get ready for this start. Going to be key here, Vesko, the pole sitter. That line of cars on the very much cleaner side of the racetrack. The key is going to be on this right side of the screen, left side of the grid for Johan Schwartz and company on that line. Can they get traction and get off the line and get a good launch?
Absolutely, and of course the line down into turn one, it's much more grippy on the racing line on the outside all the way down. You got a little smoke coming off of one of the cars.
Yeah, maybe Johan Schwartz, maybe the brakes, if he's been sort of like leaning on the gas and the brake pedal at the same time.
All right, looks like the field is set. We're anticipating this one going here. Standing start for round 10 of the Pirelli World Challenge Touring Cars. And you can see the wheel and light board. We get the 5-second call, so the lights will come on when they go out. It is race time here at the Utah Motorsports campus. The lights are on. They're off. We're racing. Everybody moves at about the same time, Cal.
Looked like a very nice, clean, and even start, but it's a good acceleration run down to turn 1. A lot of this is down to the splits on the gear ratios, who gets the good run. Vesco looks like he's got his nose ahead right now. Battle between Schwartz and Whitmer there. Whitmer there looks to the inside. Vesco takes the wide line, sweeps across, and takes the lead into turn 1. Whitmer up to second.
Yeah, that was a great use of that line by Kozarov, but Whitmer doing what Kozarov did yesterday, splitting that front row, jumping up into second. His mission is clear. Keep Kozarov as close as possible, so if any opportunity happens, oh no, problem for the second Reardon Racing Nissan, the Paul Terry trucking entry of Paul Terry, obviously already on the hook. And look at Johann Schwartz. He wants by, jumps to the inside. This is down into Blackrock.
Yeah, this will be a battle of wills right now. Tires are still relatively cold, even though it's a warm day. Johann trying to get out of it. There wasn't the gap there once they got down towards the turn-in point. And really, that's a big advantage from there. We talked about the different sides of the grid there. Certainly, Kozarov and Whitmer from the right side got a better launch on Schwartz, it looked like, down to turn 1.
And now coming through this section they're leading into now called Witchcraft, and you can see that little bit of an argument between those two BMWs going into the Blackrock hairpin has given Kozarov a 4 or 5 car length lead. You just can't gift that guy a thing.
No, you can't. Everything seems to be going his way. What you wish for, he's getting right there. Not sure if there was a little touch there between the two BMWs. Definitely Whitmer's car got a little bit loose there. They came through turn 6.
And as I said, don't count out the 26 classic BMW of Matt Travis. Oh, we have a full course caution. We have a full course caution. It's got to be, yeah. That's it. They just couldn't get it cleared quick enough. And you don't want a field of cars streaming down at speed when you've got EV workers on the track. So quick full course caution. I would suspect this is going to be very fast because they just needed to get Terry's car moved into a safe position. So it's kind of a reset here.
It is, which is probably good news for Whitmer. And not so good for Vesco because he had a nice little comfortable gap there in the early going. But again, much cooler conditions here today. I'm going to be curious to see these guys drafting down this front straightaway to see whether they're willing to pick up the draft. Yesterday they were running on opposite sides of the racetrack. They didn't want to be nowhere near the heat of the car in front of them or not getting air to the radiator ducting.
I think that was a good point you brought up. We're going to take another look at the start right here from a little bit different perspective. And
you see Terry's car. Didn't see it on the initial launch, so I was focused on the front of the grid.
It just never moved. And watch for Whitmer here. That you see the blue nose starting to show its face. He's alongside Schwartz, and then right here.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's making a move on Vesco or just trying to pinch Johann there down towards the apex curbing. Either way, it worked, and he got up to second. Johann, though, he's feisty. He knows he's got a fast car. He's probably a little bit frustrated, Greg, in terms of having the pole yesterday. The 2 starts that he was involved in at the beginning, the stewards didn't like, so he got that drive-through penalty. Not enough time on the board, and he really needed a reset yesterday. If there'd been a yellow, maybe it could have been a factor for a podium finish, but you got to feel like he's got to be frustrated with seeing Vesco up ahead of him and potentially increasing that championship lead.
Yeah, absolutely, H. You know, what are you hearing about Paul Terry? What happened?
Right now they're thinking it's an axle failure. They've had this thing happen in the past, and they're just looking with their heads down, shaking their heads, and they're like, axle failure. Car was running perfectly. They thought everything was going to be great, and unfortunate situation for them at the start of the race.
All right, thanks very much. Yeah, he had a top 5 yesterday, and you know, was certainly somebody that I think could have been a factor in this race before a potential podium. That's tough to see.
Yeah, he was very racy yesterday, so I'm sure he's gutted to be out of the race early. Has had a couple of podium finishes this year. Doesn't have the consistency of some of the other boys in the championship, but nonetheless, on his day, he's definitely capable of a podium, if not more.
Absolutely, he is. Well, when we're under caution, we're going to just step away for just a moment here, but we will be back for the restart here at the Pirelli World Challenge Grand Prix of Utah. Welcome back, everybody. Lights out on the beautiful Mercedes safety vehicle that we have. Thanks to Farmington Mercedes, by the way, for providing that glorious safety vehicle as we are set to go back to racing after that quick caution. And the safety vehicle makes its way into pit lane. Vesko Kozarov leading the field around. And it's going to be interesting to see just what the thought is here, as you said, Cal, with the ability in this cool air to draft a little bit. Somebody going to be able to take advantage on this long run down. Everybody feeding on early green flag, so plenty of time to pull something off.
There really was, and the key for the leader there is to really be in the sweet spot of the RPM range and the gear he's in to get that initial launch. He's got to jump. Schwartz has got to run on Whitmer, however.
Here he comes to the inside, and the question is, how deep can he go? And you can see how far Vesko runs to the outside to get that arc in, and Whitmer able to tuck in behind as he sliced across. That was a nice move by Carl.
It really was, and Matt Travers coming off another great podium run here yesterday has joined this lead pack in the early going.
So everybody, it looks like, settles through at this stage. Up through this tricky little corner. This is turn 3, and then there's a kink that comes up, and it should be easy flat, but if you just miss it a little bit, you can find yourself running wide. Here we go. Schwartz again. He did this on that first lap, Cal. Looks to the inside. Yeah.
Will he get the same result? He's a little bit deeper. He takes it in deep. He gets that second position. Can he hang on to the front end of that race car? Whitmer comes back at him with the undercut.
Well, they're going to be side by side down into turn number 6. But Johan has that inside line, and again, now watch Whitmer trying to arc and get a run into Richcraft. Well, he got a great exit.
He really did. He's got a great run. He's going to get that position back, and all of this just helps Vesko Kozarov stretching the lead at the front.
Johan now, for a minute, looked like he thought, I'm going to try and cut back, but it's so tough to make a move up into the attitudes.
Look at Whitmer's car. He did that on the opening lap as well, as he's not having to defend, compromise his race line if those BMWs are close to him. This has got to be frustrating for the BMW management who are here seeing their guys battling out and letting that Nissan get away.
Oh boy, a little different line choice into this final corner. A lot of banking in that last corner. You can use it for a ramp down onto the long straightaway, but if you have somebody right behind you, you can't open that window up too much, can you? Because they'll just stick the nose in.
No, absolutely. And looking at the speeds through the speed trap, which is early on, 123 for Kozarov, 124, 125 for the BMWs in the draft. So not much between it, but certainly the BMWs have been awfully strong here this weekend. But right now, they got to do something. They got to work together a little bit better to get up with Vesko Kozarov, who continues to lead.
Well, when you've got different teams representing the same mark, you always want to be the top finisher in that mark. But right now, these two teams, Classic BMW and Rooster, they got to quit racing, and they just got to work together as one and run down Vesko, then get on with the racing.
Here we go. Schwartz, similar line down into turn 5. He's nowhere near as close to the rear bumper of Whitmer this time to attempt to move. Things are starting to settle in now. Tires are now up to temp. Should be in their sweet spot. Then you're going to start to feel, what adjustments did I make last night? How are they working? How are they feeling? Do I have a good balance in this race car?
Another guy who's having a good run right now, sitting in that 5th spot, is Robert Nimkoff in the Autotechnik BMW. And had a good run going yesterday, then faded a little bit late, but has shown some good speed. Qualified 6th for this race based on fast laps from the first race. There he is in that green and white BMW, doing a nice job. However, he's got Jason Clooney kind of glued to the rear deck, doesn't he?
He really does. This is a great battle.
Ooh, a little wide there.
Yeah, he was.
And these cars, obviously, they have ground clearance, so they can run that curb up in that second attitude, but it still unsettles them a lot. And if you charge it too much, that's what can happen down at the bottom of the hill, because that's all off camera.
It really is, and it's a sequence of corners, so if you get off a little bit in the first one, it just exaggerates and gets worse. The compounding of the line just gets away from you. But watching Schwartz here, he's already not wanting to run, even in the short acceleration ones between corners, behind Whitmer. So it seems like he's already worried a little bit. Look at him there. He's not tucking into the draft, Greg, just as we saw yesterday. Wants to get that air to the front of his race car.
Yeah, and he had a great run out of release in that final corner, so I would have thought he may have tucked in there. And look how far over he's getting.
He just doesn't want to get into the heat soak from that race car around him. It's not just getting air to the radiator. He doesn't want any part of the heat that's generated from the race car that he's competing with.
That's interesting to see him go that way. And like I said, sure looked to me like he got a run. I thought he might draft a little bit and then try and make the pass. And he opted to, as you said, just fade way to the left.
Early going, of course, but right now, Vesko Kozarov best. There's a good second second clear of everyone else. So we talk about tweaking on the race car, trying to close the gap to Kozrov. The problem is, seems he's tweaked on his race car and made it even quicker here today.
Well, they sure know this track. By the way, just saw a great shot of the DRS Power BMW, the 09 of Greg Nitzkowski. He is your Optimum Batteries best start, standing start award winner, up 2 spots in that opening lap. So congratulations to him as we go back to this compelling battle. Again, looking at Whitmer, second in the points, coming in 18 points back. And then Johann Schwartz, another 12 back. So it's right now 1, 2, 3 on the track is 1, 2, 3.